Okay, the last part I want to show you is the past expenses or the cash out section of the past saving and spending plan. But before we do that, let's just look over Joanna's overall plan. Her goal is to open a massage therapy business that's operated out of a Sprinter van. And the total cost of the plan is over $50,000. So it's a relatively high cost plan. You can see why she's looking for additional resources here. So the startup costs include, first of all, her training to become a massage therapist. And she's going to be going to school in a place, and this particular Institute of Massage includes the books and student liability insurance. There's application fees and supplies. She can purchase her massage table directly from them for a discount, and she'll need that during her training. And also, she's required to have 2 professional massages while she's in training. And so between a scholarship that she got in VR, most of this training is already covered. So what she's looking for in the past is some of the additional expenses. Like, first of all, as soon as she's done with school, she's going to need to get her massage therapy license, and there's some fees associated with that. She's also going to need to purchase the van and some modifications to the van, not disability related modifications, but things to make it so that she can run her massage therapy business out of it, to put carpet in, to secure the table, hooks, curtains, things like that, and a sound system and speakers. So that's a big chunk of what she's asking for in the past. And then she has some additional business startup expenses, including like a graphic design package, which includes the logo and brochures and some additional business cards. She's got her business professional liability insurance, as well as a business license and QuickBooks and some initial supplies. So you can see how the costs add up very fast. So if I take that then and go back to the past saving and spending plan, you'll see here, remember we already put in the cash in section, and just so you know, I took out that SSI back pay part and left it that she was going to start contributing her SSDI and her wages in March, because she's writing this ahead of time and projecting these expenses. But I did leave in that $6,500 that was contributed from her resources, that inheritance she had. Her grandmother wanted her to spend it on education, and by doing so, it puts her under the $2,000 resource limit, so she can be eligible for SSI. And that's part of her contribution to the plan. So she's got some skin in the game here. We've also can see that she's going to be setting aside her $880 a month of SSDI and the $290 a month accountable portion of her wages. So that brings us down to the expenses part. And I always say what I've done here is I've just taken the expenses that I showed you on the other page and listed them in row 18, starting in line 18 and down. I'm listing each expense, including the licensing, the vehicle, the modifications, insurance, and some of that other business startup stuff. So what I want to use this for is to help me see if she can afford all these things with the pass, and when she might be able to afford certain purchases. Because one of the sections of the pass application, it's the My Plan section, asks you not only for the steps involved in the plan, but the timelines. And this can help you see when she's going to have money to make certain purchases or to take certain steps. Now, I always start by telling people to start out by thinking through if there's any logical order to the purchases. And in her case, getting the massage license is probably the most critical one, because until she has her massage license, the rest of this business doesn't really make sense, right? So, and sometimes the pass specialist will approve a pass, but they'll defer certain purchases until certain things have happened. And I would expect that in this example, that a pass specialist wouldn't approve buying a van until she had her massage license. So this is the first order of business. And we'll we'll assume she can take care of that in March. That might not be the case. They might only do testing, every other month or, in April or something, but we'll assume for here that that's the case. Now, in terms of logic to order here, she can't really do the modifications, and it doesn't make sense to purchase insurance for a vehicle you don't have. So probably the vehicle is the next purchase. And she's found that if she puts $6,000 down, she can make $500 a month payments. And you can see from the how much she has left in her beginning balance here that she'd have plenty of money to do her $6,000 down payment in April. And again, it's $6,000 down the first month, and then $500 a month payments in the months continuing. So I'm gonna add that in and drag the payments, the $500 payments from April through May through December of that year. She's also, as soon as she purchased the vehicle, she's going to need to have insurance to cover it, right? So I'm gonna do the $100 a month in vehicle insurance as well. And I can see either, down here from my ending balance or up here from my beginning balance that she still has enough money to cover these. She's not going into the red. Then there may or may not be a lot of sense to the order of some of the other ones, but let's say she wants to get her vehicle modifications done. She doesn't quite have enough money in May, but she certainly would have enough money by June to cover those. She might also be able to do some other expenses there, like maybe her graphic design package. And maybe she wants to, in the next month, in July, cover the $200 for her QuickBooks. And oops, I have that in the wrong line. Oops. Let's put the $200 QuickBooks here and maybe start purchasing her supplies. And then she probably doesn't want to buy her business insurance until she's pretty close to launch because it's just money that she doesn't need to spend right then. So we've got the $500 here, and I missed her business license too. So I'll go back and add that $75 in there. So you can see that really by, early August or September, she's ready to launch. So that's really helpful. As you're developing that My Plan section, you can say, okay, these are the steps. Joanna is going to get her massage license covered in March. And in April, she's going to purchase the vehicle and insurance and start making monthly payments. And in June, she's going to start working on the modifications to the vehicle. And then in July through August, she's going to take care of those other business startup expenses. So we know now that she is going to be ready to launch in probably later August or September. One thing that she's going to need to decide is if she's going to continue her part-time job once she launches the business. Maybe she can, maybe she can't. But if she can't, if she's not going to, we want to take out the wages she was setting aside because if she's not going to be working, she doesn't have those wages, right? So it'll give you a sense. You can see here by the beginning balance, she's still doing fine. She's not overspending her budget. And then I can go into year 2 down here at the second tab and look at how this is going to work in the next year. So the one thing, the expenses that I entered into the first page, the year 1 page, will transfer over here. What didn't transfer over, though, is the income. And we're going to assume that she's no longer working her part-time job, that she's, devoting herself to the business now. We also know that every year SSDI goes up a little bit. We don't know exactly how much, but I might just anticipate it goes up $20 from $900 a month to $920. So in this year, she has $900 a month to contribute to her PASS. And I can enter that in on B11, cell B11. And then I'm going to scroll across. She started in March. So a PASS will minimally, for self-employment, will minimally be approved for 18 months. And it could be approved for longer. But for now, I'm just going to add that into she started in March, so 18 months would be August of the following year. And then again, I'm going to have to go back in and add which expenses she's still covering. Now, all of them have really been covered, except for she's continuing to make vehicle payments, and she's going to continue to cover insurance for the vehicle. She didn't request that the past covered business insurance or business license for the second year, but she could have, or she could include those. But let's just put this in and see what this looks like. So one thing we want to see is that her ending balance is never going under zero, which it's not. That's good. In fact, she's accumulating more and more money in the past as she goes there. At the end of the 18 months, she still has $4,000 in her past. So a couple of things could happen. I mean, she might have had a pass proof for more than 18 months from the get-go. But if not, it's probably a time when you want to have a conversation with the pass specialist. The pass specialist will be doing periodic reviews and kind of know what's going on. But what they're going to be looking for at this point is she earning enough money to cover her business expenses and to cover her living and medical expenses without the pass. If not, they could extend it longer. But there's certainly a conversation that goes here. If she's doing well at this point and can cover her $500 a month van payments and her insurance, then the pass might end and she would be on her own for those. But hopefully she's making enough money to cover that, and they'll make sure that she is. You might see at the end of August, she's got about $4,000 left in her pass account. If it doesn't continue, she may be asked to pay that money back because it's money that wasn't spent, or they may have had her stop putting money in sooner, so that by the time she gets to August of the year 2, that she's down closer to zero. But that's, she's done well with the pass. She's gotten the majority of her expenses covered. And while she still may be paying on her vehicle, she's got the income available to do that. So now one thing I could have done, and it's a cool thing about the worksheet, is it lets you juggle with things. Like, I'll tell you what, if I go back to year 1, if I had initially gone in and said, well, what if she makes $1,000 payments on the vehicle? Because that way she could pay it off quicker and pay less interest. But if she did that, she wouldn't really have enough money to start her business until year 2. So there's kind of some decisions you might make. It's like, yeah, she might get a little more out of the pass to cover the van, but she can't start her business for a while longer. And she wants to, while her skills are fresh and she's out of training, to get going on it. So you can juggle the expenses a little bit and kind of see what different scenarios would look like. Just in summary, I want to say that I think this is a really, really helpful tool for developing pass applications, because it does let you see kind of how money is going in and out of the pass. And it helps you complete that My Plan section, because it shows you when purchases can be made. And it's also really helpful after the fact, like after the pass has been approved, to use for tracking. So you could have some projections that you do around the pass plan, but also after the fact, use it for actuals. And that's really helpful too. So thanks for listening.